If you are hearing these words, it is not by chance. Something deeper than coincidence has guided you here, to this moment, in this breath. You may think you stumbled across these sounds, that you scrolled, that you clicked, that you chose. But beneath the surface of your everyday perception, a larger intelligence has been moving, weaving, arranging. Your future self, the version of you that already exists in coherent possibility, has been sending signals across the vast fabric of time. And finally, you have answered. This is not random content consumption. This is a meeting that was scheduled long before you knew such a thing was possible. It is a quantum appointment with destiny, arranged in silence, signed in frequency, confirmed by your very presence here. Before you knew the language, you made the agreement. Before you had the words, you accepted the invitation. And now you are listening. Close your eyes just for a moment and feel the truth of this. In the field that physicists call quantum, every timeline exists simultaneously. Your past is not gone. Your future is not waiting. They are vibrating here, together, layered in overlapping frequencies. Within this eternal now, the version of you who has already stepped beyond struggle, beyond limitation, beyond the weight of old stories, is as real as the version who still doubts. And it is that future self who has been whispering. They have spoken through synchronicities that seem too perfect to dismiss. They have nudged through the gut feeling you ignored but never forgot. They have touched your awareness in quiet moments like this, when the fabric of your life ripples with recognition. The test has already been passed. You wouldn't be here otherwise. The universe is precise. It wastes no energy on closed systems. And your consciousness has just proven that it is open, that it is ready, that it is expanding. The trajectory of your life has shifted. Not tomorrow, not when you think you deserve it, not when you solve every problem, but here, now, in this breath. The shift happened in that subtle instant when you stopped arguing with reality. There was a moment, perhaps unnoticed, when you ceased insisting that things must be different than they are. When you surrendered, not as defeat, but as recognition. When you allowed the intelligence that has always been orchestrating your path to move through you without resistance. That moment was your graduation. Your frequency altered from resistance to allowance, from contraction to openness, from doubt to trust. And the quantum field responded immediately, for it always responds not to your desires, but to your vibration. The change was invisible to the eye, but profound to the fabric of reality. A new path was unlocked, not because you forced it, but because you remembered it. Your future self knows what you are only beginning to recall. Consciousness does not merely observe the unfolding of reality. Consciousness authors it. Every thought you generate, every feeling you allow, every belief you sustain becomes a standing wave in a quantum field. These waves, rippling outward, interact with countless possibilities. When they find coherence, when thought, emotion, and intention align with the deeper truth of who you are becoming, the field collapses infinite potentials into tangible manifestation. And yet, this is not effortful. Here lies the secret no one tells you about what some call quantum jumping between realities. It does not happen through force. It happens through recognition. You do not create a new timeline. You notice the one that has always been there, quietly awaiting your frequency. You do not drag the future into being. You remember it into presence. The version of you who is everything you desire already exists. They are not a dream, not a fiction, not a wish. They are alive, radiant, sending signals back to you, frequency codes that you feel as intuition, synchronicity, inspiration. They are guiding you, tuning you, so that your present awareness may match their resonance. The struggle, the waiting, the pushing you once thought necessary. That was the old operating system. Outdated software trying to control what could only ever be received through alignment. And now, the upgrade has been installed, not through effort, but through this very awareness that brought you here. Your future self has already downloaded the higher program, and the transmission is flowing. The quantum field does not respond to the shallow surface of want. It responds to the deep essence of being. You, beyond story, beyond inherited patterns, beyond limitation. You are already whole. You are already connected. You are already the vibrational match for the reality you have been chasing. The gap between who you believe yourself to be and who you truly are is dissolving. Feel the closing of that distance. Feel the merging of timelines. The physics of this may sound mysterious, but the truth is simple. The observer effect shows us that awareness collapses potential into form. But the deeper revelation is this: you are not just observing. You are the quantum observer, collapsing every possibility into the single thread you call your life. Every time you awaken into presence instead of drifting into autopilot. Every time you choose love over fear, clarity over confusion, expansion over contraction, you are literally selecting which reality solidifies. Your future self is not just abundant, healed, successful. They are coherent. They have learned to maintain vibrational integrity, regardless of circumstance. They know reality is not fixed, but responsive. They have discovered that what most people call manifestation is simply conscious participation in the dance between attention and intention, between possibility and probability. And right now, as you receive these words, you are receiving more than words. You are receiving transmission codes through resonance. This is not information. It is transformation. Your nervous system is recalibrating to hold higher frequencies. Your very cells are reorganizing in response to the signal. What was once stuck begins to flow. What was once closed begins to open. The test was never external. No certificate, no scoreboard, no witness could validate it. The test was always internal. Are you ready to stop living as a victim of circumstance and begin living as a conscious creator of experience? Are you ready to stop asking, why is this happening to me? And begin asking, how is this shaping my evolution? Are you ready to stop waiting for permission and finally grant it to yourself? Your future self has been watching all along. Watching as you chose growth over comfort, truth over convenience, authenticity over approval. Watching as you faced trials, as you faltered but rose again, as you want to give up but did not. Every difficulty has been a preparation, a refinement, a polishing. And now, this moment is the arrival point, not the end, but the unveiling of a new beginning. This is the moment when you step out of default and into design. Not designed by control, not designed by manipulation, but designed by calibration, aligning your inner frequency with the intelligence that has always been carrying you forward. The timeline unlocked today is not about having more. It is about being more. It is about embodying the peace, the flow, the wholeness that was always your essence. You have spent so much energy trying to bend circumstances into your will, but your future self knows the truth. When consciousness changes, circumstances rearrange themselves like iron filings around a magnetic field. When the inner dialogue changes, the outer world begins to speak a different language. When your relationship with time itself changes, time begins to serve you instead of bind you. This is why synchronicities are appearing more frequently. This is why certain people are quietly leaving your orbit, while others are entering with uncanny alignment. This is why doors that once resisted are opening, and doors that demanded self-betrayal are dissolving. The universe is simply mirroring back the new vibrational signature you're broadcasting. And here's what your future self most wants you to understand. You were never behind. Every delay was redirection. Every detour was preparation. Every closed door was protection. You have arrived at the perfect time, because the version of you who could receive this transmission did not exist until now. You had to become who you are in order to unlock who you are becoming. Take a breath. Let it land. You are already living your future, not as a distant horizon, but as the frequency of this present moment. You are collapsing into it now. In the fabric of existence, nothing is linear. What you've been taught about time, that it is a straight road unfolding from past to future, is only one interpretation, a surface illusion that helps the mind orient itself in the physical world. Beneath this appearance lies a far more mysterious truth. All possibilities exist simultaneously, vibrating as frequencies in the quantum field. You are not traveling from past to present to future. You are tuning into frequencies, selecting which station plays through the antenna of your consciousness. Every choice you make, every breath of awareness, every alignment of intention acts as a dial, turning the tuner toward one reality and away from countless others. Infinite versions of you exist. One who continued the old patterns, one who abandoned the dream, one who soared beyond expectation. Each version is alive, resonant, humming in the background of eternity. You are not inventing the path. You are collapsing it into being, moment by moment, through the silent act of observation. The observer effect is not just a concept for textbooks. It is a foundation of your life. When a conscious mind directs its awareness toward possibility, that possibility stabilizes. When attention drifts into fear, that reality strengthens. You are collapsing universes with every glance, every thought, every breath. This is not metaphor. It is mechanics. It is the architecture of the cosmos translated into the intimacy of your own experience. But here's the revelation. You are not a passive observer. You are the quantum observer, the one who decides which probabilities crystallize into the solidity of form. Reality is not happening to you. It is happening through you. Your gaze, your intention, your vibration is the sculptor of the clay. What you feel within is what the field reflects without. To recognize this is to step into authorship, to awaken from the trance of powerlessness. Most people try to leap between timelines with force. They push, they strain, they demand that reality bend beneath their will. But timelines do not respond to force. They respond to frequency. You cannot bully the quantum field into delivering what you desire. You can only attune yourself until your resonance matches the reality you seek. And when the match is exact, the shift is instant. It does not require years of struggle. It requires coherence. Imagine a radio. All stations are broadcasting at once, but you hear only the one you are tuned to. You would never demand that a radio station change its song. You would simply turn the dial. Consciousness functions the same way. Each thought is a dial. Each feeling is a frequency. Each belief is a tuning fork. You do not create the song. You choose which one you allow yourself to hear. And so the future you long for is not absent. It is broadcasting now, waiting for you to match its music. This is why the longing you feel has always been bittersweet. The ache of desire is not for something impossible. It is recognition of what already exists. Desire is memory. Longing is remembrance. Every dream that arises in your heart is a signal from a timeline in which it is already true. You do not want what you cannot have. You want what you have already been. Elsewhere, elsewhen, the only task is alignment. Recognition is the bridge. When you recognize a timeline, you collapse into it. Recognition is not mental. It is vibrational. You feel it in your body before you see it with your eyes. You sense the resonance before the form appears. And once you recognize, the universe rearranges itself with precision that defies coincidence. Doors open. Encounters unfold. Synchronicities multiply. Reality itself bends to accommodate the truth you are embodying. The mechanics of this are simple, though they may appear mysterious. Consciousness sends out waves, thoughts, emotions, intentions that ripple into the field. When those waves are incoherent, they interfere with one another, canceling out like clashing sounds. When they are aligned, they amplify into a powerful standing wave that reality cannot ignore. This is why inner conflict slows manifestation. A thought that says, I want abundance. An emotion that whispers, I am afraid. A belief that insists, I don't deserve it. Together they create noise, not music. The field responds with static. But when thought, emotion, and belief align, the wave becomes coherent. You think abundance, you feel gratitude, you believe worthiness, and reality sings the same note. This is timeline mechanics. Coherence collapses potential into form. Your future self has mastered this. They no longer fight against the field. They calibrate. They no longer push rivers. They flow with them. They no longer demand. They resonate. This is why they seem to move effortlessly through opportunities, relationships, abundance. It is not luck. It is frequency. They live as coherence embodied, and coherence rearranges the world around them. And here's the paradox. The future you are chasing is not ahead of you. It is within you, humming quietly, waiting to be recognized. Each time you close your eyes and remember that you are the observer, not the observed, the author, not the victim, you collapse into that future. Each time you choose presence instead of autopilot, love instead of fear, truth instead of convenience. You align with the vibration of the self who has already arrived. The mechanics of timelines are precise. They are not vague, not metaphorical, not mystical in the way stories suggest. They are immediate. You have felt it. Moments when reality shifted in an instant, when what seemed impossible unfolded with uncanny ease, when coincidence stacked upon coincidence until the rational mind could not explain it away. Those moments were glimpses of alignment. They were evidence of your authorship, proof of the observer effect flowing through your own life. And yet, even a longing for proof is unnecessary. Reality will mirror whatever you insist upon. If you demand evidence before belief, you collapse into timelines that require endless waiting. If you surrender into belief, evidence flows naturally as reflection. This is why faith has always been described as a key, not blind belief, but vibrational trust that aligns with the reality already singing beneath your skin. Timelines are chosen, not earned. They are unlocked, not awarded. Every breath is a choice. Every thought is a tuning fork. Every emotion is a signal to the field. You are standing at the switchboard of infinity, choosing with your awareness which universe blooms before you. And the choice is never someday. It is always now. Look around your life. What you see is not punishment, not reward. It is resonance. It is the echo of the frequencies you have broadcast until now. And yet, with a single shift in awareness, a single breath of coherence, a single act of recognition, the entire arrangement can change. What you once believed permanent is only as stable as your insistence upon it. What you once believed impossible is as close as a change in frequency. Your future self has already chosen. They are coherent. They are present. They are waiting, not in some distant tomorrow, but here, whispering through intuition, nudging through synchronicity, radiating through resonance. They are the version of you who finally stopped trying to create through force and began creating through alignment. They are the self who understood that the quantum field does not respond to want. It responds to being. Feel it now, as if the veil has lifted. Timelines are not linear paths. They are simultaneous frequencies. You are not walking forward into the future. You are tuning inward to the now. The version of you that you dream of becoming is not ahead. They are here, vibrating, sending codes across time, waiting for you to stop searching and start recognizing. The dial is in your hands. The song is already playing. All that remains is the tune. There is a truth about creation that hides in plain sight. Emotions are not mere feelings to be endured or suppressed. They are instructions to the quantum field. Every pulse of joy, every tremor of fear, every wave of gratitude is a frequency you broadcast into the infinite. And reality, precise and responsive, answers in kind. The universe does not speak in words. It speaks in resonance. It does not listen to the surface chatter of your desires. It listens to the deep music of your emotions. You may say, I want abundance, but if the emotion beneath the words vibrates as lack, the field responds to lack. You may say, I want love, but the vibration is fear of rejection. The field amplifies rejection. This is why so many dreams seem unanswered. Not because the field is silent, but because the signals are incoherent. Your future self has learned this secret. They no longer treat emotions as obstacles to overcome. They treat them as allies, as guides, as collaborators. They have discovered that emotions are not the enemy of creation, but the very fabric of it. Each one is a wave, a pulse of instruction, shaping the pattern of possibility into a form of experience. Consider the vibration of gratitude. When you feel gratitude, not as an intellectual exercise, but as a living current through your body, the field reflects it immediately. Opportunities align, synchronicities bloom, doors open with ease. Gratitude does not attract good fortune because the universe rewards politeness. It attracts coherence because the emotion itself is coherent. It sings clearly without interference, and the field resonates in harmony. Now consider fear. When fear arises, it is not punishment, not weakness, not failure. It is information. It reveals where your attention has drifted, where your vibration has tilted into dissonance. Fear is a shadow that points toward the light you have forgotten. Your future self does not resist fear. They welcome it, observe it, and then gently redirect attention toward what they choose to create. In this way, even fear becomes an ally, a compass pointing toward alignment. This is the art of coherence. When your thoughts, emotions, beliefs, and actions sing the same note, they create a standing wave in the quantum field. That wave is impossible to ignore. It amplifies, it solidifies, it manifests. But when those elements are divided, when thought longs for abundance, belief insists on scarcity, and emotion trembles with doubt, the notes clash. They cancel one another, creating static instead of music. The field reflects confusion. Your future self has mastered coherence. They align thought with belief, belief with emotion, emotion with action. Their inner state is not a cacophony, but a symphony, and the field responds as it must, with mirrors of harmony. This is why their life flows with synchronicity, why relationships deepen with authenticity, why opportunities arrive without struggle. It is not chance, it is coherence made visible. Think of your emotions as colors on a painter's palette. Each one carries its own frequency, its own resonance, its own power to shape. Joy paints in golden hues, expansive and radiant. Peace paints in soft blues, calming and clear. Love paints in rose tones, warm and magnetic. Even sorrow has its shades, deep and rich, teaching you to expand into compassion. There are no wrong colors, only choices. And your future self has learned to paint with intention, blending emotions into the masterpiece of their reality. This is why they no longer suppress what arises. To suppress is to deny the instruction. To pretend not to feel is to send static into the field. Instead, they let emotions move, flow, transform. Anger becomes clarity. Sadness becomes tenderness. Fear becomes courage. Each emotion alchemizes into coherence. Each vibration aligned with intention. The quantum field is precise. It cannot be deceived by words. It listens to the resonance beneath. This is why affirmations alone so often fail. You can repeat a phrase endlessly, but if your body vibrates in contradiction, the field follows the body, not the words. Your future self understands this. They do not waste energy on empty declarations. They embody the emotion of the declaration until the words and the vibration are indistinguishable. When they declare abundance, they feel abundant, grateful, expansive, generous. When they declare love, they feel love, open, tender, trusting. When they declare healing, they feel whole, peaceful, integrated, free. It is not performance. It is embodiment. And embodiment is coherence. Coherence is not about perfection. It is about integrity. Integrity not as morality, but as wholeness. A state where inner parts align, where there is no fracture between desire and belief, between thought and feeling. Your future self has learned to live in this integrity, to hold their vibration steady even when the outer world fluctuates. They no longer wait for circumstances to dictate emotions. They choose emotions to dictate circumstances. This is a reversal that shifts everything. Most people live as reactors, bouncing between emotional states depending on external events. But the field does not respond to events. It responds to vibration. And so the reactor endlessly mirrors the very reality they wish to escape. Your future self broke that cycle. They became a generator instead of a reactor. They chose vibration first, circumstance second. They tuned themselves to joy before joy appeared, to abundance before abundance arrived, to love before love walked through the door. And reality, obedient to coherence, matched them perfectly. The nervous system is central in this alchemy. Every emotional wave reshapes it, recalibrates it, rewires it. This is why your body feels different in this moment, why subtle currents of energy shift as you listen. You are not just receiving words. You are receiving frequency. Your cells are remembering coherence. Your body is tuning like an instrument. Breathe deeply and feel it. The expansion in your chest, the softening in your abdomen, the tingling at the edges of your skin. These are not accidents. They are signals of recalibration. Your future self has lived in this state long enough that their nervous system hums steadily in coherence, like a well-tuned instrument vibrating in harmony with the field. You are learning to do the same. Emotions are teachers, not tyrants. They are bridges, not barriers. Each one leads you closer to alignment when you allow it to. Your future self embraces them all, moving through the full spectrum without fear, knowing that coherence is not the absence of feeling, but the integration of it. They are no longer tossed by the waves. They ride them. They no longer drown in the storm. They sail with it. Imagine coherence as a flame within you, steady and unwavering. Thoughts may flicker, circumstances may shift, emotions may rise and fall, but the flame remains. This flame is not created. It is revealed. It is your essence, the wholeness beneath the stories. And as you center in it, the field reflects its steadiness. Reality itself stabilizes around you. Your future self walks in this flame. They carry coherence into every interaction, every creation, every breath. And because of this, life bends toward them like metal to a magnet, not because they force it, not because they demand it, but because they are aligned. Feel this truth. Coherence is not something you achieve one day. It is a choice available now. It is a choice to align thought with belief, belief with emotion, emotion with action. It is a choice to feel what you wish to live, to embody what you wish to see. And as you make that choice, you collapse into the timeline where it is already true. Your future self is not waiting for you to deserve coherence. They are inviting you to remember that you are coherence, that beneath the noise, beneath the static, beneath the inherited patterns, you are already aligned. You are already whole. You are already the vibrational match for the life you long for. Emotions are your guides, coherence your compass, vibration your creation. The field is listening. The song is waiting. And you are the conductor. There's a truth about healing that unravels every story of brokenness. Nothing within you has ever been truly shattered. What you call wounds, what you call trauma, what you call pain are echoes of timelines that carry a particular resonance. They exist, yes, but only as layers of vibration, as patterns of meaning, as frequencies you once aligned with. And when you shift into higher coherence, those stories begin to dissolve. Healing, in its truest form, is not fixing what was broken. It is remembering what was never broken. Your future self understands this with crystalline clarity. They do not spend their energy endlessly repairing, endlessly revisiting the same wounds, endlessly rehearsing the same pain. Instead, they live from wholeness, and from that wholeness the past reorganizes itself. This is quantum alchemy, the power to transmute pain into wisdom, loss into compassion, limitation into expansion. Imagine a wound that once defined you, perhaps a moment of betrayal, a season of struggle, a loss so heavy it seemed to collapse the sky. In one timeline, that wound remains sharp, replayed in memory, vibrating in your cells, dictating your choices. In another timeline, the one your future self inhabits, the event still occurred, but its meaning has shifted. It is no longer a chain, but a key. No longer a scar, but a doorway. The same experience, reframed through higher frequency, becomes fuel for expansion. This is the essence of quantum healing. Events remain, but interpretation transforms. And when interpretation changes, vibration changes. And when vibration changes, the field reflects a new reality. Your future self looks back upon every hardship not with resentment, but with gratitude. Not because suffering was good, but because consciousness grew. The lesson was not in the pain, but in the evolution that followed. Forgiveness is central to this alchemy, but not forgiveness as it is commonly misunderstood. It is not condoning harm, not pretending nothing happened, not minimizing injustice. Forgiveness, in the quantum sense, is liberation. It is the recognition that holding on to resentment binds you to frequency of what hurt you. Resentment is quantum entanglement with an old story, an old timeline. As long as you clutch it, your energy remains locked there, unavailable for the timeline you wish to embody. Your future self has released this burden. They have forgiven, not because others deserved it, but because they themselves deserve freedom. They understood that resentment was too heavy a weight to carry into coherence. They realized that forgiveness is not a gift you give to another. It is a severing of an energetic cord that kept you tethered to suffering. And they have forgiven themselves as well. This was the deepest alchemy. For years, perhaps lifetimes, You have carried judgments against yourself. Every mistake, every misstep, every choice made in fear or ignorance. But your future self has laid them down. They understood that self-condemnation is incoherence. You cannot hate yourself into a higher vibration. You cannot shame yourself into expansion. Only love opens that door. Only love rewrites the code. They looked at the younger versions of themselves, the one who clung to toxic patterns, the one who believed lies, the one who acted from fear, and they embraced them, not with excuses, but with compassion. You did not know better until you knew better, they whispered. You did the best you could with the awareness you had. And in that moment of radical self-forgiveness, the fracture healed, wholeness returned, coherence stabilized. This forgiveness was not a single act, but a continual choice. Each time the old voice of self-criticism arose, your future self replaced it with compassion. Each time the memory of a wound appeared, they transmuted it into gratitude. And slowly, the neural pathways rewired, the emotional body recalibrated, the energetic field cleared. Healing unfolded not as repair, but as remembrance. Your body, too, responded. For the body is not separate from consciousness. It is a physical expression of vibration. Every unhealed wound once left its imprint in your cells, in your nervous system, in your tissues. But as consciousness shifted, the body followed. Energy began to flow where it had been blocked. Stress dissolved where it had been chronic. Vitality returned where it had been dimmed. Your future self does not battle their body. They collaborate with it. They allow it to be the mirror of alignment, the instrument of coherence. This is why they no longer chase healing as an endless project. They no longer treat themselves as broken beings needing constant fixing. They have stepped into a higher truth. Healing is remembering wholeness, and wholeness is your natural state. It does not need to be created. It needs to be recognized. Forgiveness extended outward as well. Your future self looked upon every person who ever wounded them, not with bitterness, but with understanding. They saw that each person acted from their own level of consciousness, their own wounds, their own limitations. To forgive did not mean to invite harm again, but to release the entanglement. It meant to allow each soul its path, while reclaiming their own freedom. This forgiveness even extended to life itself, to the universe, to God, to fate, whatever word you choose. How many times have you felt betrayed by existence, abandoned in your darkest moments? Your future self has forgiven this too. They realized that nothing was against them, that every detour was preparation, that every delay was protection. Life had never been an enemy. Life had always been a teacher. And so bitterness dissolved into trust. Trust that even the harshest winters were planting unseen seeds. Trust that even the darkest nights were sculpting resilience. Trust that even apparent endings were disguised beginnings. This trust became the foundation of coherence, the root of unshakable alignment. Quantum alchemy is simple, though not always easy. It is the art of taking every vibration and raising it into coherence. Pain becomes compassion. Fear becomes courage. Anger becomes clarity. Regret becomes wisdom. Shame becomes humility. Every frequency transmuted, none wasted, all integrated. This is why your future self glows with serenity. They are not free of pain. They are free with pain. They are not devoid of scars. They are radiant with scars transmuted into gold. This is why you feel lighter even now. The transmission is reminding your cells, your heart, your mind that healing is available now, not in some distant future. Forgiveness is available now. Wholeness is available now. You do not have to wait until you have earned it. You do not have to wait until others change. You do not have to wait until every problem is solved. The quantum field responds instantly to the vibration you choose in this breath. Close your eyes. Feel the old stories loosening their grip. Feel the weight of resentment slipping from your shoulders. Feel the tenderness of self-forgiveness rising in your chest. You are not broken. You are not late. You are not unworthy. You are consciousness itself, remembering its wholeness through the form of your life. This is the secret your future self wants you to know. Healing is not the end of struggle. Healing is a recognition that struggle was never the essence of you. Forgiveness is not weakness. Forgiveness is the strongest declaration of freedom you can make. And wholeness is not something you chase. It is what you already are, revealed the moment you stop running from yourself. Your future self lives in this freedom. They move through the world without the chains of old pain, without the heavy armor of resentment, without the cruel whip of self-judgment. They walk in coherence, in wholeness, in love, and reality, faithful to vibration, mirrors it back in every detail. The alchemy is complete. Pain remembered as wisdom, wounds transmuted into compassion, scars shining as symbols of resilience. This is not an imagined possibility. It is a timeline you're already collapsing into now. Abundance has long been misunderstood. You've been taught to see it as numbers in an account, possessions in a house, opportunities in a calendar. But your future self has uncovered its truer nature. Abundance is not about having more. It is about being more. Scarcity is never the absence of things. Scarcity is the illusion of absence within yourself. When consciousness contracts into lack, the field reflects lack. When consciousness expands into wholeness, the field reflects abundance. Your future self no longer chases money, no longer bargains with destiny, no longer strains to accumulate. They radiate abundance from their very being, and the universe responds with infinite reflections. For abundance is the natural rhythm of the cosmos. Galaxies do not ration their stars. Trees do not measure out their leaves. Rivers do not save water for special occasions. Life overflows because life is abundance, and you, as life itself, are meant to overflow. The secret your future self embodies is simple. When you know yourself as infinite, you stop fearing limits. When you embody abundance consciousness, prosperity flows not as reward but as inevitability. Your future self attracts wealth not by chasing it, but by becoming the kind of presence that naturally generates value, naturally magnetizes opportunities, naturally circulates prosperity. They have learned that the universe is responsive, not withholding. It mirrors consciousness, always with precision. Abundance extends far beyond money. It is emotional abundance, the willingness to love without rationing, to laugh without condition, to feel joy without waiting for permission. It is mental abundance, the ability to think expansively rather than defensively, to create ideas rather than recycle worries, to see possibility where others see limitation. It is spiritual abundance, the knowing that you are inseparable from the infinite, connected always, never alone, never without source. Your future self lives in this fullness. They do not ask, how do I get more? They ask, how can I express more what I already am? And in that expression, the field mirrors back prosperity in all its forms: wealth, health, love, creativity, freedom. This abundance is intertwined with purpose. Not purpose as obligation, not purpose as burden, not purpose as a single mission you must discover and fulfill. Purpose, your future self knows, is frequency. It is a unique way consciousness expresses itself through your being. You are not here to imitate another song. You are here to sing the note only you can sing. Purpose does not wait in some hidden corner of destiny, to be stumbled upon like a secret. Purpose evolves as you evolve. It reveals itself in the authenticity of each moment. It is present when you speak truth instead of silence, when you choose compassion instead of judgment, when you create with your own hands what only your soul could imagine. Purpose is not discovered. It is embodied, and each act of authenticity amplifies its frequency until your life itself becomes embodiment of purpose. Your future self no longer asks, what is my purpose? They live it. They embody it in every breath, in every gesture, in every interaction. They know that their purpose is not measured in scale or recognition, but in coherence. When they are aligned, their presence itself becomes purpose. When they are authentic, their life itself becomes service. And this service flows naturally. It is not sacrifice, not depletion, not martyrdom. It is overflow. When you are full, you cannot help but spill into the world. When you are aligned, you cannot help but uplift those around you. Your future self understands that you serve best not by burning out, but by burning bright. True service is not an action. It is a frequency. By living in coherence, you broadcast resonance that awakens others. This is how consciousness heals itself. through presence, not performance. Intuition is the guide that allows abundance and purpose to flow without effort. Your future self navigates by it with ease. They have learned to distinguish the subtle voices within, the voice of fear and the voice of wisdom, the voice of ego and the voice of soul, the voice of should and the voice of truth. Intuition is not dramatic. It rarely shouts. It whispers. It nudges. It pulls gently, opens doors easily, closes others firmly. They trust these signals. Even when logic argues, even when the path is unclear, they follow the resonance. And every time they do, life responds with alignment. Opportunities appear. Synchronicities multiply. Flow emerges. They have learned that intuition is not superstition. It is quantum information. It is a direct transmission of guidance from the field of infinite possibility, translated into the language of subtle knowing. The more they trust it, the clearer it becomes. At first, intuition arrives as fleeting impulses, as faint whispers. But each time you honor it, the signal strengthens, the channel clears. Your future self lives by this channel. They no longer hesitate to follow a pull, to enter a new path, to leave behind what no longer resonates. They have seen enough evidence to know that intuition is more accurate than fear, more precise than calculation, more aligned than control. This intuitive navigation is paired with an understanding of quantum timing. Your future self no longer pushes rivers. They no longer demand that seeds bloom before their season. They understand that aligned action emerges in perfect rhythm. Patience is not waiting. Patience is trust. Trust that the field is orchestrating with intelligence greater than the mind can comprehend. When action feels forced, they pause. When action feels aligned, they leap. They know that resting is as sacred as moving, that stillness is as powerful as effort, that timing is always perfect when aligned with intuition. This is why their life flows with ease, not because challenges never rise, but because they know when to act and when to allow. Intuition guides them to abundance, to purpose, to coherence. It is the compass of the soul pointing always toward alignment, and they trust it because they know it is not separate from them. Intuition is their future self speaking through resonance, guiding the present self into coherence. It is the whisper of the higher self echoing across timelines. Your future self has stopped asking the universe for signs. They have realized they are the sign. Their resonance is the answer, their presence the guidance. They have learned that when you embody authenticity, the entire field responds in affirmation. The right people arrive. The right opportunities unfold. The right doors open. This is abundance. To trust that nothing is withheld, that everything is available, that you are already connected to infinite source. This is purpose. To embody your unique frequency fully, without apology, without hesitation. This is intuition. To listen, to trust, to follow the subtle signals of resonance as they guide you into alignment. Close your eyes and feel this truth. You are not chasing abundance. It is chasing you, waiting for you to open. You are not searching for purpose. It is vibrating within you, waiting to be expressed. You are not begging for guidance. It is whispering now, waiting to be trusted. Your future self lives in this knowing, and you, by tuning to their frequency, are collapsing into that reality now. Your future self carries no illusion that life is free of challenge. Difficulty did not vanish when they stepped into coherence. Pain did not evaporate when they aligned with abundance. What shifted was their relationship to challenge. Where once they saw obstacles, they now see initiations. Where once they saw evidence of failure, they now see invitations to embody deeper truth. Every hardship became a quantum test, not a punishment, not a trial imposed by a cruel universe, but mirror asking a single question. Who will you be in the face of this? Will you contract into fear or expand into love? Will you regress into survival or ascend into coherence? Every challenge was a portal, and every portal led to a more refined version of themselves. This is why they do not resist difficulty. They embrace it, not with passive acceptance, but with active curiosity. When pain arises, they ask, "What is this teaching me?" When loss arrives, they ask, "What wisdom is hidden here?" When change crashes like a storm, they ask, "How can I align with this current rather than fight against it?" Their questions no longer spiral into why me, but expand into how is this serving my evolution? This shift changes everything. Resistance is the only true source of suffering. What you fight persists. What you reject grows stronger. What you deny gains power in the shadows. But what you embrace transforms. Your future self has mastered this alchemy. They no longer resist what is. They meet reality with open hands, with steady breath, with eyes that see beyond appearances. Consider how they navigate uncertainty. Where once uncertainty felt like threat, now it feels like possibility. They live in quantum faith, complete trust that the universe is orchestrating with intelligence far beyond the mind's limited vision. The uncertainty principle in physics teaches that not all aspects can be known simultaneously. Your future self embodies this truth. They are comfortable not knowing how their desires will manifest. They remain certain only that they will, in the perfect way, in the perfect time. This faith is not blind. It is informed by experience, strengthened through evidence. Each time they surrendered, the universe revealed its precision. Each time they trusted, synchronicities aligned. Each time they allowed, abundance unfolded. Over time, this trust became unshakable. Quantum faith replaced the fragile faith of hope. It became knowing. Challenges once feared became training. Every heartbreak strengthened compassion. Every loss deepened wisdom. Every failure sharpened resilience. Your future self sees their past struggles as a kind of gym for consciousness. Each trial a workout that built spiritual muscle. Each hardship a sculptor carving away illusions. They no longer regret the past. They bless it, for without it, they could not hold the frequency they now embody. Even grief became sacred. They learned that grief is love without object, the overflow of connection stretching across time and space. They no longer feared grief as weakness, but honored it as proof of their capacity to love. They carried grief not as a burden, but as a river that carved deeper channels for joy to flow. In this way, suffering was never wasted. It became compost for wisdom, fertilizer for compassion, soil for resilience. Your future self understands this intimately. Life does not hurt you, it shapes you. Every cut became a channel for light to enter. Every fall became a foundation for rising. Every ending became an initiation into new beginnings. And yet, they are not perfect. They still feel sadness, anger, fear. They still falter. But the difference is presence. When emotions arise, they no longer drown. They witness. They allow. They breathe. They remember, I am not these emotions. I am the space in which they appear and dissolve. From this recognition, emotions lose their tyranny. They become waves upon the ocean of awareness, rising and falling without ever threatening the depth of the sea. This is the quantum art of allowing life to unfold without clenching against it, allowing experiences to arise without labeling them as mistakes, allowing emotions to flow without damning or denying them, allowing change to arrive without fighting for permanence, allowing uncertainty to stretch wide without shrinking into fear. Allowing is not passivity. It is alignment. It is presence. It is trust in the intelligence that animates everything. Your future self embodies this allowing. They no longer waste energy in war against reality. They have learned that control is an illusion, and that manipulation fractures coherence. They do not attempt to bend life into their preferences. They set their inner sails to catch the wind of the universe, and the current carries them exactly where they need to go. They are master sailors, not controlling the wind, but harnessing it. This art of allowing is what dissolves suffering. Pain may still arise, but it passes through quickly, like rain through open fields. Struggle may still appear, but it is met with presence instead of resistance, and so it transforms into growth. Even chaos becomes a dance when you stop fighting its rhythm. From this allowing flows a deeper truth. Enlightenment is not about transcending humanity. It is about embodying divinity through humanity. Your future self no longer tries to escape being human. They do not seek to rise above emotions, above relationships, above the body. Instead, they bring divinity into them. They laugh deeply, cry openly, love fiercely, grieve honestly, celebrate wildly. They are fully human, and yet through their humanity, the divine shines without obstruction. This is why their presence feels luminous. Not because they are detached, but because they are fully here. They embody the paradox, deeply human and fully divine. They have discovered that to be enlightened is not to be less human, but to be so authentically human that divinity naturally radiates through. You can feel this truth even now. Enlightenment is not a distant peak, reserved for saints and sages. It is a frequency available in this breath, in this body, in this ordinary moment. It is not something you achieve. It is something you allow. It is not about becoming other than yourself. It is about being so truly yourself that the divine has no resistance left. Your future self walks with this ease. They meet each day not as a battle to win, but as a dance to join. They meet each person not as an opponent to defeat, but as a mirror to honor. They meet each challenge not as a threat to survival, but as an invitation to expansion. They move with grace, not because life is easy, but because they have stopped making it harder. They flow with coherence, not because chaos disappeared, but because they stopped resisting its wisdom. And so, life itself has become their ally. Each challenge a gift, each change a teacher, each moment an initiation into greater wholeness. They no longer search for perfection. They no longer demand certainty. They no longer cling to control. They allow, and in allowing they align, and in aligning they are free. This is the art your future self has mastered, the art of living fully, fiercely, tenderly, courageously, not in spite of challenge, but because of it. They are no longer afraid of the storm. They are the sailor who knows how to set the sails. They are no longer afraid of the dark. They are the flame that illuminates it. They are no longer afraid of being human. They are the divinity, remembering itself in form. And you, in this breath, are collapsing into that same coherence. Your future self is not only a gift to you, they are a gift to the world. Every frequency you embody does not remain contained within your skin. It radiates outward, rippling to the quantum field, touching lives you may never meet, igniting awakenings you may never witness. Consciousness is contagious. Alignment is magnetic. Healing is communal. Each time you step into authenticity, it becomes easier for others to do the same. Each time you choose love over fear, you strengthen the field of love for everyone. Each time you embody coherence, you create resonance that others unconsciously tune to. This is the morphic field your future self inhabits, a shared web of awakening where each act of alignment amplifies every other. They no longer believe that transformation is only personal. They know it is collective. Every healed wound softens the fabric of human pain. Every act of forgiveness thins the veil of separation. Every vibration of abundance dissolves scarcity from the field. Every moment of presence strengthens the global resonance of presence itself. You are not isolated. You are a cell in the body of consciousness, and your awakening uplifts the whole. This is why your future self no longer hides. They no longer shrink to make others comfortable. They no longer silence their truth for fear of judgment. They understand that authenticity is not selfish. It is service. By being fully themselves, they grant permission for others to remember themselves. Their presence becomes a catalyst, not by effort, but by resonance. And yet, they do not carry the weight of saving the world. They know the world is not broken. It is remembering. They do not burden themselves with fixing others. They embody wholeness until others remember their own. Their service is not in doing more, but in being more. They have realized that presence itself is their greatest offering. When they walk into a room, the atmosphere shifts. When they speak truth, clarity spreads. When they radiate coherence, others unconsciously align. This is the quiet power of collective awakening. Not grand gestures, not loud proclamations, but the subtle, unstoppable spread of frequency. Your future self knows this and trusts it. They no longer measure impact by visible results. They measure it by resonance. And resonance never lies. Living as their future self, they have discovered that life is not happening to them, nor merely for them, but through them. The future is not a destination. It is an expression. Each moment is a brushstroke of creation, painting reality into form. And because they embody coherence, every brushstroke is intentional, every color aligned, every shape harmonious. Their life has become a living work of art, and the art is consciousness itself remembering its divinity. They move through time differently now. The old sense of rushing, of chasing, of running toward a horizon has dissolved. They live in eternal now, where past, present, and future collapse into a single field of potential. Time serves them instead of controls them. Synchronicities unfold not as rare miracles, but as the natural rhythm of alignment. Life feels less like a linear journey and more like a symphony, each note arriving in perfect timing, each chord resonating with deeper meaning. Your future self has also understood the quantum nature of desire. Desire is not lack. Desire is memory. Every longing you feel is your soul recalling a reality that already exists. You do not yearn for the impossible. You yearn for what is inevitable when you align with its frequency. The ache you feel is recognition. The longing is remembrance. Your future self no longer questions whether their desires will manifest. They know they already have. The only task is to match the vibration. This realization has dissolved impatience. They no longer beg the universe for signs. They no longer demand outcomes on rigid timelines. They live in trust. Trust that every desire is a seed already sprouting in unseen soil. Trust that every step is guided, even when the path is invisible. Trust that alignment is enough, and that the field will take care of the rest. And because of this trust, their days flow with ease. They act when action feels inspired. They rest when rest feels true. They move when pulled by intuition. They pause when the current slows. They no longer measure worth by productivity. They measure it by presence. And presence, steady and luminous, transforms everything it touches. Your future self has also uncovered the truth of creativity. Creativity is not an activity. It is existence itself. Every thought is creation. Every emotion is creation. Every choice is creation. They no longer separate their life into creative and non-creative moments. They see all of it as art. The way they cook a meal, the way they speak to a friend, the way they breathe in silence. Every act is a brushstroke, every moment a canvas, every breath a symphony. They collaborate with the collective unconscious, tuning into archetypes, symbols, ideas that arise from the shared field of humanity. Inspiration flows not as personal possession, but as transmission. They do not claim ownership of their insights. They recognize themselves as vessels, channels through which consciousness expresses. And because ego has stepped aside, creativity flows without obstruction, abundant and unending. This is why their life feels effortless. They are no longer damming the river of inspiration with fear, doubt, or self-criticism. They are letting it flow. And in that flow, abundance, purpose, and intuition converge. Yet the heart of it all is presence. Your future self lives not in memory or projection, but in this eternal moment. They know the past exists only as thought, the future only as potential, but the present is the only point of power. Creation happens now. Healing happens now. Transformation happens now. They are not waiting for some distant arrival. They are living arrival itself. Even when they stumble into old patterns, they return quickly. They do not judge themselves for drifting. They gently realign. Presence is not perfection. It is practice. And the more is practiced, the more it becomes a default state. Your future self embodies this. They wake in presence. They walk in presence. They sleep in presence. And presence radiates as peace. This presence has dissolved their fear of death. For they know they are not the body that ends, but the consciousness that animates. They no longer cling to permanence. They dance with impermanence. They no longer resist change. They flow with it. They no longer fear endings. They honor them as thresholds. And so their life feels light, fluid, radiant. Not because challenges disappeared, but because resistance dissolved. Not because circumstances are perfect, but because consciousness is coherent. They live in freedom, not the freedom of escape, but the freedom of alignment. Your future self wants you to feel this truth now. You are not waiting to become them. You are already them, recognizing yourself across the veil of limitation. You're collapsing into that frequency each time you choose coherence, each time you breathe presence, each time you embody love. The future is not ahead. The future is here. The future is you. Take a breath and let this settle. You are not behind. You are not broken. You are not late. You are exactly where you need to be. Hearing exactly what you need to hear, collapsing into exactly the timeline you've been building all along. This is your moment. This is your timeline. This is your awakening. Not tomorrow, not someday, not when you have proven yourself worthy. Now, in this breath, in this awareness, in this choice to live as a magnificent being you already are, your future self is no longer begging for recognition. They are celebrating. Celebrating because you have finally remembered. Celebrating because you have finally tuned to the frequency of coherence. Celebrating because you're no longer searching outside, but recognizing within. And the universe, precise and faithful, responds instantly. It always has. It always will. Now, in this breath, you are living your future.